You thought he was done? You thought the takes were too hot to handle? You better think again. He's back with even more scorching opinions, more controversial predictions, and the kind of truth bombs that only Zain Bando can deliver. If you missed the first round, prepare yourself. This is the follow-up you've been waiting for. It's time for Zan Zinger Part 2. Another certified hit from the Empty the Bench Network. Here's your host, Zain Bando.
Everyone, we are live. This is Zain Part 2. It is Sunday, March 8th, 2026. Happy to be back. Happy to no longer have technical difficulties. And it's great to be here. We're live on a bunch of different ATP Network platforms, as you all know. Again, this is Zain Zinger Part 2, an extension of Bando's Breakdowns, which airs every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. If you missed episode 80 this past Friday, please be sure to go check it out. It's a great episode. But for now, this is Zain Zinger Part 2. If you're watching this live, shout out to the 50 people who are in here right now across a bunch of different platforms, including the ETB Network YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, personal X account, Bando's Breakdown to ETB Network, and of course, ETB Sports as well. So just shout out to everyone that's in here right now. Again, 50 people and counting in this live stream. Greatly appreciate all you guys coming in on this Sunday morning, early March, the week before some of the major conference tournaments are taking shape as well. But unfortunately, a lot of the college basketball stuff that I was hoping to talk about is going to be kind of put down to the bottom of the stream here today in favor of what's going on currently in the UFC at the moment. We had UFC 326 last night from Las Vegas. Jack Gold and Tom Albano, along with some audio commentary from myself, went over that card as well. And they also went over the White House card for about an hour. We're going to condense everything down to about 30 to 45 minutes, as this show usually is. So strap in, because it's going to go by really, really quickly. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get started. But before we get started, though, now that I'm thinking about it, let's just get a few things out of the way here. So please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the ETB Network. You can do so at youtube.com/ETB Network, which is where some of you are watching this current stream as we speak. And of course, you can follow the show at across social media at Bando's Breakdown. You can follow me at ZanBando99, and screw it, we'll put it at the bottom of the screen as well, in case you guys don't know. Again, an extension of Bando's Breakdowns at ZanBando99 is my X and Instagram handles. So if you haven't followed me, please be sure to do so. More content to come across all fronts. All right, let's get into the show now, though, if we can. And again, this is sort of what went on over the weekend. So let's start from the top here. Usually I would begin with talking about the UFC event from the night before. But I have to start with this, because finally, I've been talking about this for weeks. We finally have fights. We finally have fights booked. We finally have fights revealed. Let's take a look at who is fighting on the UFC White House card. And in fact, we're going to pull it up in just a second. And I'm going to tell you who is fighting on the White House card in case you guys haven't already seen it. It's called UFC Freedom Fights 250. They're going away from the number system for at least one UFC event, or one numbered UFC event, that is. And we're gonna go and check out who's on this card right now. So this was announced right after the Drew Dober Michael Johnson fight, and obviously this tweet has gone viral. So with that said, let's jump in and let's take a look at this here. So here we go. All right, so this is the card right here. I just popped it up on the screen. Let's take a look here. So main event of the evening is Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje for the UFC Lightweight Championship. Ilia Topuria is officially back. All of his divorce proceedings are over. The co-main event is the surprising one to me. Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight championship. Cyril Gane gets 1,000,000 title shots. This is another one. He's getting another title shot against Pereira, who's moving up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. Hence why Yuri Prohaska is fighting Carlos Alberg. This next one is confusing, though. Ayman Zahabi versus Sean O'Malley. I don't know what Ayman Zahabi has done to deserve a fight versus Sean O'Malley, but it is what it is. Potential underrated banger, Mauricio Huffy versus Michael Chandler. At least Chandler made it on the card. He was begging to be on this card, regardless of who it was against. So there's that. Bo Nickel is fighting Kyle Dawkins. And then to open the card, again, it's only a 6-fight card. Allegedly, right now, it's an 8 p.m. Eastern start as well, but that could change. Opening the card is Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. So, with that out of the way, that is the card reveal. Let's talk about what they did right and what they did wrong off this card, though, now that we're sitting here and talking about this. So, obviously, the UFC did what they could, which I'm not faulting them for one bit. They only have so many fights they can fill, and I'm sure there were a lot of different just logistical hurdles and stuff like that. It's the White House. They don't really do outdoor UFC events, so that could also be part of it as well. But just to kind of to break this down further a little bit about what this card could have been. First off, if you're a newer fan, I think Ilia Topuria, Justin Gaethje is a perfect intro to what the UFC should be when it comes to a big time fight. These are two all action guys. Topuria obviously has knockout power in both hands. Gaethje, this may be his last chance to win a UFC title. He's never won an undisputed title. He's won an interim title before, but he's never won an undisputed. So this may be his last chance to do that. But and the reason why I was saying it's not really White House worthy last night, I kind of got into it in the voice memo, and I want to get into it further. And I meant it when I said it. This is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be some big, huge star at the top of the card, whether it was, John Jones, Conor McGregor. Obviously, the Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes fight is not on this card. Some big American champion is what I thought they were going to do. And technically, you do get an American champion, but he's an interim champion, so it doesn't fully count, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I just think parts of this don't fully make sense to me. That's number one. I would have done something different here. And then Pereira versus Gane, to me, is just, I was kind of saying it last night, too. Slap in the face to Cyril Gane. I mean, Alex Pereira. This guy dominated light heavyweight for years. This guy moved up from middleweight to light heavyweight, saved the UFC's ass on several occasions for 3 shows in 2024 when he wasn't even supposed to be the main event for one of them, right? I don't know. I think Pereira should have been given a heavyweight title shot. Now, that's not fair to Aspinall, so they didn't strip Aspinall, but given Aspinall's injury, I was kind of talking about this. I'm like, if they strip him, it somewhat makes sense because his timetable is so unclear and they need title fights to fill the bill. I don't know. So there's that. I don't fully agree with that. And then some of these other bookings, like Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins, is not exciting at all. Huffy versus Chandler, you could argue, could have been moved up. I don't know, man. I just think Zahabi versus O'Malley doesn't make sense. I thought they were going to do Sandhagen, maybe, Marab. But Marab's out for a while, so you can't really fault him for that. I don't know. Not a single women's fight on this card. I thought there was going to be at least one, and the only one they could have probably done was Harrison and Nunes. But my theory on the fight that fell out Friday night is that it was the Kayla Harrison fight. That's my theory. And shout out to almost 100 people who are in there watching this stream. greatly appreciate you coming in and checking me out on a Sunday morning or afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. I don't love that there's not at least one women's. I thought there was gonna be one women's fight. I thought they'd have either, Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes, or Macy Barber or something like that, because she had expressed interest in being in the card as well. So I don't really know what to think. I think this card is good from a hardcore fan standpoint, but if you're a casual, it's a tough sell. There's no Jones, there's no McGregor, there's no, you're not seeing George St. Pierre come back. I don't know. I feel like this is a really difficult sell. Now, they don't really care because they don't have to sell pay-per-views anymore. So anybody can stream this for free on Paramount as long as you have Paramount. So I think that's another angle. They want to put on cost-effective fights. That's the term that's being thrown. And honestly, it's hard to argue that. It really is. And this hasn't been the greatest start to the year when it comes to the UFC. We've had one regular title fight this whole year so far, and we have another regular one coming up here with UFC 327. But the scheduling of these title fights is just slow. And now, then you get to think about timetables. If Pereira wins and he's unscathed, when does he fight again? If Gon wins and it's something controversial, then do you do a rematch for an interim title again? Like, I don't know. I think they put themselves in a difficult spot. And then you may still get Topuria versus Islam by the end of the year if Topuria beats Gaethje. So something tells me Islam is fighting either Michael Morales or Ian Gary international fight. That's now. I mean, that's as obvious as you can get, because I thought maybe there's an outside chance that Ilya fights Islam on this card, but nope. They decided to stick with it, stick with the unifying of the belts, if you will, to determine who undisputed is, and there's that. So a few nuggets on that as well. All right. That's kind of the card. June 14th, South Lawn at the White House. Let's keep it moving though with the side controversy that I don't think enough people are talking about. So let's stop sharing our screen here, and let's go back to business with more tweets. All right. So we're gonna move on now, and we're gonna talk about the whole saga that is what is going on with Jon Jones and Conor McGregor, because there's two interesting sides to this entire thing. So let's see if we can pull up, because some of these tweets have been deleted. But Championship Rounds was able to scrap these up and pull them. So let's do that. So here we go. So here's the quote from Jon Jones, and this is again from deleted tweets. So I'm giving credit where credit is due. It's literally from Jon Jones's Twitter account. All right. So here we go. So what is going on with Jon Jones and Conor McGregor? Let's start with the Jones angle to this. Jon Jones, as it says here, went on a rant after Dana White said he was never going to fight at the White House. Essentially what Dana said is that Jon Jones fighting in the White House was total bullshit. It would never happen. And then he sent a text to his lawyer, basically relaying what I just said. So Jon Jones hears that and goes on this ridiculous tirade of tweets. So in a nutshell, this is what he said. So all of this negotiating was complete BS. Is that what you want me to agree to publicly? Man, how effing painful. Laying in my bed, wrapping my head around this perception. Somebody is lying here, because Ariel Helwani has said for weeks now that Jon Jones was in play to fight at the White House card. And as of 72 hours ago, there was hope that he would fight at the White House card. So either they didn't get to the number, which is what Ariel is reporting, or something else happened that hasn't been reported yet, either legally or something else, that just said, F it, we're not dealing with this. So Jones is confused. He's like, so I'm released from the UFC. I'm effectively retired. That's essentially what the UFC is saying. So I think either they go back to the table with more leverage and basically said, I screwed you, meaning Jones did a year ago with the Aspinall thing. You guys screwed us. Now who's going to compromise? That's one option. He could say, screw you, try to get out of his contract, which is easier said than done. I don't think he can. He has 2 fights left or 1 fight left. He tries to get out of it, which is easier said than done. And he says, screw it. We're going to try to do something else. We're going to go to boxing, or we're going to go to MVP MMA or Netflix MMA, whatever this is being called. And we're going to try to make me versus Francis, the fight that was supposed to happen. So I don't know what he's going to do, but to me, it's very clear there's been another disagreement again. And this is ugly. This is really ugly, as you can see here. I mean, he deleted all of these tweets. There were several tweets in a row Sunday morning, basically firing back, saying that's not fully what happened. I believe the Jones side of this here. I mean, I think Ariel is a very credible reporter. I don't think he would say that Jones was in play if he wasn't in play. So to me, I think he was, and to me, I think he wanted a number. I don't know what number that is or was, but I think he wanted a number, and I don't think they were willing to do it based on what happened a year ago. That's number one. And number two, Dana stuck to his word. He stuck to his word last summer in Chicago when he told Zach Gelb of then CBS Sports that there were 1,000,000 to 1 odds that Jones would fight at the White House card. And he stuck to his word. He was 100% right. The media went crazy. Everybody went crazy. He was 100% right when he said that he would not fight at the White House. But I believe Jones in this scenario because you can't go out and report something like that, a big story like that, the biggest story in MMA, and have it not be true. Okay, that's number one. And number two, he would have not gone in front of all those people a week ago and say that he was in negotiations without him legitimately being in them. So I think until that text was sent, they were in negotiations, and some of them threw their hands up in the air and were like, screw it, we're not dealing with this. Then that's when the whole charade happened. Then he's blaming the arthritis thing, which Jones has. He did state publicly a month ago that he may never fight again, but he never said officially that he was retired. So something isn't adding up here, and I don't know if it'll ever get resolved. Who knows if he ever fights again? But this is definitely a sour look. White House card looming, right? June 14th. He wanted on this card. He's not going to get it. But on the contrast, though, their other big star, which former big star, I guess, because he hasn't fought in a long time, Conor McGregor, is back in the news again. He's back in the news again for positive reasons. So apparently, according to Dana himself, and I will pull up the clip right now from the post-fight presser, they are very interested, in fact, in a potential return for him for the first time since what would be July of 2021. This would be gigantic news, and it may, and who knows, it may end up saving the whole year if it comes to fruition. So let's pull this up now. All right, here we go. This is from the post-fight press conference, clipped by Championship Rounds Dana White with a brief answer talking about McGregor. Okay, so he goes on to say that there's no date, there's no timetable, there's no opponent, I'm sorry, I never here. Let's play it again. My bad. Here we go.
Is there any update on when or if he'll fight again?
No, but we are definitely talking to Conor, obviously.
But there's no like timetable. You just okay.
Not even.
Okay, so as you just said, they're talking to him. There's no timetable, but they're interested. So that's huge. That's really huge. So either something is amended, okay, either fences have been mended, Either fences have been mended, something else is going on, or he's just saying it for smoke and mirrors and maybe there's nothing going on. But McGregor has said that he has spoken to them on several occasions. He initially agreed, according to an interview with Smashcast Media, which was released yesterday. It was Ian Parker and Chael Sonnen. They got a half an hour with him, and he basically talked about how he's been in talks with them. He initially agreed to fight Chandler, then he agreed to fight so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Some of the names have been thrown around. Mauricio Huffy, who got the Chandler fight. Michael Morales, I think, was thrown around potentially. And a few other names. Prates apparently was thrown around, as I spoke about a week ago or a couple of days ago now. A lot of names had the deck shuffled, if you will. So I don't know. What I can say though is that it's huge to not at least say, "Oh, there's no way he's coming back" or anything. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means International Fight Week. I don't know if that means this fall. I don't know if that means this winter, summer. Well, summer is International Fight Week. I don't know. I don't know what that means in terms of when this may happen, but it's a major deal in the sense that they seem to be interested in speaking to him. So that's huge. So we're running out of time. We'll run through these a little bit more quickly. All right. So UFC 326, Charles Oliveira defeats Max Holloway by decision. Nearly submits Holloway several times, had his back on several occasions, specifically in rounds 1 and 2 as well. Wins the BMF title off Max Holloway. All right. Let's go through how I did on this card. We went 5-7. So did Jack Gold. Tom actually did really well. He only had 3 losses on the night. I think he went 9-3. He did really good. So on his guest picks so far for the year, he's 15-11. We're 1-2 on numbered UFC main events. We're 500 overall for the year through 6 shows. And as I alluded to last night, this card is a D minus, I think is what I said. And it's a D minus for several reasons. One, the prelims weren't very good. The CBS portion ran over. The main event was a grappling heavy fight, but if you love MMA, you know how high level that is. So there's been a lot of discussion about that, whether it was an entertaining fight or not. And what else was there off this? And then the White House announcement again, which is a part of this, I thought was really lame. I thought the promo was lame, and I also thought the way they revealed it just sucked. I mean, there was no full promo or surprise or anything. It definitely did not feel the same way the UFC 200 promo during UFC 199 felt. And that's kind of what I'm saying. In this new era now, in this new era of cost-effective UFC fights, that's what you're going to get. We have 2 comments here. Who are these from? Somebody wrote in here, I don't know who this is. Only one can give Hamzat a tough time in the UFC, and that is Magomed Ankalaev. That's not a terrible fight. And then a comment from ETB Network. I think this is from Nick Morganson as well, although I can't tell based on who wrote it. John Jones was never going to fight at the White House card as long as Dana reigns over the UFC, and it feels like the UFC was clout chasing for attention because the card is a disappointment. That's a bold take. I don't think a lot of people would disagree with that. Very interesting stuff. Thank you for the comments as well. But yeah, that's UFC 326 in a nutshell. CBS debut, underwhelming for the most part in terms of entertainment value, but Charles Oliveira gets the job done and wins the UFC BMF title. All right, briefly here, related to this, the Paramount WBD merger. Basically, what this means is now more sports are going to be seen on more networks, a la potentially the UFC being on TNT and stuff like that. We've kind of already started to see this with the college football playoffs, some of the games being on TNT and stuff, but this overall will dominate the industry for the most part. It'll have most of the sports covered on on these platforms. So I think it'll be interesting. I think it gives fans more of a variety, but is it certainly a sports TV monopoly? It absolutely is. All right. Finally, the last topic of the show, because we're going to be running out of time here in just a few minutes, is the Big Ten tournament seeding scenarios. So it's the final day of the Big Ten regular season. There are a couple games today, most notably Michigan State versus Michigan, Illinois versus Maryland, and Iowa versus Nebraska. So all three of these games have meaning. So I'm going to explain why they have meaning in just a second. So let's take a look here, and I will show you what would be the hypothetical Big Ten tournament bracket, because we don't have the official bracket. We'll have the official bracket tonight. The tournament starts on Thursday, or excuse me, the tournament starts on Tuesday. The top 4 seeds play on Friday. All right, let's take a look at this bracket while we have a chance. All right, here we go. So let's share screen on this. Here we go. Here's the Big Ten tournament bracket, and let's pull it up right here. Okay, so the Big Ten tournament bracket as of today would be Oregon versus Maryland. That's a 16-17 matchup. Then the other game is Northwestern Penn State. The winner of Northwestern Penn State would play Indiana. And of course, Oregon, Maryland would play Iowa. Then you move to Thursday, which is where if you're an Illinois fan, there's a chance that Illinois could be playing on Thursday as a 5 seed. And I'm going to explain what would need to happen in just a minute for Illinois to even remotely sniff that scenario. All right, so here we go. So Ohio State would play the winner of this Oregon and Maryland / Iowa matchup. Then you'd have Washington versus USC playing wherever the 5 seed ends up being against the 12-13 winner, which would more than likely be the winner of, is the winner of Washington USC. All right. Then you move on. Purdue as the 7 seed with its loss to Wisconsin yesterday in Mackey. Purdue's the number 7 seed. It would take on the winner of Indiana versus Northwestern / Penn State. And then moving down to the bottom, the final game in the Thursday window would be UCLA versus the Minnesota Rutgers winner. So you may be wondering, can Illinois play on Friday? There's a pretty darn good chance Illinois will. All Illinois has to do, regardless of what happens in the Iowa-Nebraska game today, is beat Maryland. If it beats Maryland, it clinches a triple bye in the Big Ten tournament, which would mean it would play on Friday. Now, it is detriment on whether or not Illinois plays at 1:30 on Friday or at 8. So I'm going to explain where it comes in. If Illinois just wins, okay, and Nebraska beats Iowa, Illinois is a 4 seed. It'll play on Friday at 1:30. If Illinois loses to Maryland somehow, some way, which would be one of the biggest upsets this regular season, Illinois would drop to a 5 and would have to play on Thursday at 1:30. So that would be another extra game that Illinois would have to play. If Illinois wins and Iowa beats Nebraska, this is where it gets interesting. Illinois moves to the 3 seed and doesn't play until the final game on Friday at 8 p.m. All these times are, I'm pretty sure, Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. But that's the scenario for Illinois. So Michigan's locked to the 1. We don't know who the we don't know what's going on with the 3, 4, and 5 seeds at the moment when it comes to Illinois. There's some other scenarios too, but that's the scenario today. As long as Illinois wins, it'll play on Friday. If it loses, it'll be playing on Thursday, unfortunately. So who knows? My prediction, though, is that given Nebraska's tailspin, I think Iowa beats Nebraska today. So I think Illinois is going to be a 3 seed, and they will be playing Friday night at 8. That's what I think. I think Illinois will be the last game in on Friday, and there's a chance they could play UCLA on Saturday based on the UCLA draws in Thursday's opener. So those are the Big Ten tournament seeding scenarios for that as well. All right, finally, as we move along here to the final topic of the show, and we're running a little bit over time, but I will briefly get to this because I said I was going to. Zuffa Boxing 04, Jai Opataya makes his Zuffa boxing debut, is going to try to defend his, it's his title. He's going to try to defend. He was promoted to this champion, the Zuffa boxing cruiserweight title against Brandon Glanton tonight from the Meta Apex. I think Jairo Pataya knocks him out. I think it'll be before round 6, and I just think he's too dominant. His hands are too quick, and he's probably the best cruiserweight in the world as we speak right now. So give me Jairo Pataya. And we're doing pretty good on Zuffa boxing. I think I'm 16-8 so far through the first 3 cards. So 8 fights tonight, Paramount Plus, 5 Eastern. I'm pretty sure it's the first fight of the night. So stay tuned for that. All right, that's going to do it, though, for another edition of Zan Zinger. Thank you so much for tuning in again. YouTube.com/GDB Network. Listen to Bando's breakdowns and all the archives wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the show across social media at Bando's Breakdown. And, of course, as it scrolls across the screen to round out the show, follow me on social media at ZainBando99. Again, that's at ZainBando99. And, of course, you can subscribe, YouTube.com/GDB Network. And please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, as it tells me that I'm doing a good job and you want more content just like this. So, for everybody here at the network, my name is Zain Bando. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of Zain Zinger Part 2. We will be back next week. The timing of the potential live stream from the United Center is still being worked out. But as soon as I know that, I'll let you guys know and all that good stuff. But until next week, I will see you guys soon. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day. And stay tuned for a new edition of Gridiron and Gurus coming up in about under a half an hour. So until then, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you.